What's up, my comic comrades? Over the past few months, writer James Tynion has been rolling out a massive new story arc within the Batman title, and it's all been leading up to the Joker War, which officially kicks off in issue 95. I'll also add that Tynion, who took over the Batman title in issue 86, has been doing a fantastic job thus far. In any case, as the title suggests, the Joker War will place the Joker at war with Batman in a way we've never seen before. And today, we're going to tell you everything you need to know before the war begins in issue 95. But before we dive in, we also want to remind you guys that today is the last day to participate in the Silver Age comic giveaway with Comic Tom. So if you haven't already, make sure to watch our History of the Silver Age episode right here and get all the details on the giveaway and how to enter at the end of the video. And while you're at it, remember to follow Comic Tom 101 and show them some love for spreading the comic book knowledge and for making this awesome giveaway possible. As always, links for all that is gonna be in the description. As for today's episode, it's gonna have spoilers for issues 86 through 94 of Tynion's Batman run. But with that said, let's get into it. Just to be clear, this is going to be an overview of issues 86 through 94 of the Batman title, so I'm not going to be breaking down each issue in elaborate detail. We're just going to hit the highlights and important pieces that you need to know leading into the coming Joker War story arc. At the very beginning of Batman 86, we get some internal Batman dialogue while he's swinging through the city via his grappling hook. He says, "It happened in the little moments. I'd sketch on the edge of a napkin or on the corner of a page in an old casebook. A familiar building, but with an unfamiliar number of floors. The city skyline with a few added skyscrapers. There was always some minor detail altered. Alfred called them my little Gothams. He said they were designs for the city that lived in my head. A city without all the pain and horror. A city that didn't need a Batman." He would say, "What if you didn't put on that suit tonight? What if you gathered all those sketches and started building something that could last? You have a design for Gotham City, Master Bruce. Isn't it time the world saw it?" Now, these first two pages are extremely important for the entirety of Tynion's first arc here with Batman that takes place through issues 86 through 94. These first two pages are also important because at this point in time, remember, Alfred is dead. He was killed by Bane in Tom King's Batman run. Bane literally broke his neck. So clearly Batman was struggling with that as Alfred was his father. Not his biological father, but his father nonetheless. And we find out in these first two pages that Alfred always wanted Bruce to bring these napkins and designs to life to fix the city so he didn't have to risk his life anymore as Batman and finally be happy. So now that Alfred's gone, Bruce is trying to do what he always wanted him to do and be the man he always wanted him to be. These designs for Gotham that Bruce has always had all these years are also important because this entire first story arc revolves around a brand new villain called the Designer. He's actually one of the most important pieces for the lead up to the Joker War besides obviously the Joker. Now, besides finding out about Bruce's designs for Gotham in issue 86, we also find out 5 assassins have been sent to Gotham to obviously kill people and cause all sorts of chaos. These 5 assassins would be Cheshire, Merlin, Mr. Teeth, Gunsmith, and Deathstroke. Said assassins cause quite a bit of chaos for Batman for the next few issues. And in issues 87 and 88, we also find out that Catwoman has been keeping a big secret from Bruce. If you didn't know, Catwoman and Bruce are now an item, which was also established in Tom King's Batman run. In any case, said secret involves the Riddler, Penguin, and the Joker, and of course, the evil secret mastermind, the Designer. Now, Catwoman didn't tell Batman about this because apparently the Designer died years ago, so she didn't think it was a problem. But unfortunately, somehow the Designer is back, and he's literally making zombies, some of which attacked Catwoman, but luckily for her, Harley Quinn was back in town, so she decided to help Catwoman. Because remember, Gotham City Sirens, they go way back. We then find out in issue 89 why Harley is back in Gotham. She says he's been cleaning house, so she's been following him for clues for a little bit now. He's been leaving a trail of dead clowns all the way up the coast. I think this was supposed to be clue number 1 for Batman. What Harley's referring to is what we see in some of the epilogues for these Batman issues. For instance, in the epilogue in issue 86, we see Joker thugs killing other Joker thugs and setting an amusement park on fire before one final Joker henchman kills the remaining Joker henchmen at the amusement park. It's definitely taking notes from the beginning of The Dark Knight, where all the Joker henchmen are told to kill each other after each one does their particular job. In Batman 89, we also get our first cameo appearance of Punchline, who's been making waves in the Batman universe. She's Joker's new lady, the anti-Harley Quinn of sorts. She's been helping the Joker with his new plans for the Joker War and is a more sadistic version of Harley Quinn. She's basically just a female Joker. She doesn't have any of that fun lightheartedness that Harley has. But if you want to know more about Punchline, we break down her entire origin in this episode right here. Then in the epilogue of the same issue, we also see Punchline telling Joker over the phone, "It's me." They've seen the grave, but they've got the Bat's attention pointing elsewhere. And the Joker says, oh well, that's okay my dear, there are a few people I need to talk to first, before the big game. And he's saying this as we see pictures of Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne, and Barbara Gordon on a corkboard, as he's clearly going after the entire Bat family. But that's not all Batman issue 89 gives us. We also get our first appearance of the designer in this issue as well. What I'm saying is, if you're a Batman fan, you need this issue. Last I checked, it was going for around 80 bucks on eBay. So if you find it in the wild for anything less than that, grab it. In any case, this brings us to Batman 90, where we get the revelation of who the designer is and what's been going on in Gotham. At the beginning of the issue, Catwoman meets up with Batman on the top of a skyscraper to be like, I have something to tell you. I know what's going on with all the zombies popping up and all these assassins in Gotham at the same time. Then through a series of flashbacks, we find out that many years ago, 4 of Gotham's most notorious villains, the Joker, the Riddler, the Penguin, and Catwoman, got a calling card from the designer. We learn that the designer is a legend master criminal, a man who concocted the greatest crimes you never heard of. He's basically the boogeyman of master criminals. So much so that if you were to joke about stealing something ludicrous and obvious like the crown jewels in the Tower of London, someone would say, well, he probably already stole them 20 years ago, and you knew exactly who they meant. Long story short, the 4 villains are eventually taken to the designer's hideout, where he brings each one into his office one by one. While in his office, he concocts the ultimate scheme for each one to defeat Batman and rule Gotham as they want. And we find out everything that's going on in Gotham was part of the designer's plans. For instance, the plan he made for the Penguin was a shell game of assassins that would end with him in the mayor's office. Hence the assassins in Gotham City. But when he got to the Joker, the designer was disgusted with him as he literally saw him as pure evil. It was said that looking into the Joker's eyes was like staring into the abyss. So he threw him out of the room and said, kill them all, forcing Catwoman, Penguin, Riddler, and the Joker to fight for their lives, ending with the Joker killing the designer, and then proceeding to burn down his house. So obviously, since Joker killed the designer all those years ago, the big question is, how is the designer back? And at this point in time in the story, Batman and the villains have no idea. All they know is that someone got the plans that he made for each of the villains and is now putting them into motion. If you guys want to know more about the designer, we did an origin episode on him going into all the detail you need to know of who he is and how he came to be. In this episode right here. Then in issue 91, we find out via the Joker the reason why the designer wanted to kill the Joker and the reason the Joker ultimately killed the designer. The Joker then tells us the designer knew that the Penguin wanted to be the king of Gotham and that the Riddler wanted to be the wisest man in all of the kingdom. And Catwoman, well, she wanted to have the keys to all the vaults of the richest man in the city, so she could rob them and have all the diamonds for herself. So the designer designed a plan to give each of these villains their dreams. The Joker laughed about all of this because he and he alone understood the devil's game, aka the designer. The Joker said with no wise, powerful, or wealthy men left to stop him, the city wouldn't belong to the 3 crooks at all. It would belong to the devil himself. So when it was the Joker's turn, the devil, aka the designer, asked the Joker what he wanted more than anything in the world, and the Joker said to him, I want to be the devil. And then he killed him. Dude, this is some awesome writing here by Tynan. Again, he's doing a great job. Long story short, assassins, specifically Deathstroke, keep fighting Batman, all while more of the designer's plans for the 4 villains start to be set into motion. Like the Riddler's making a massive maze for Batman to figure out, and then ultimately Catwoman's, which was to steal the money of the richest man in Gotham, which obviously is Bruce Wayne. We also get the massive reveal that the designer is in fact still dead, and the designer we've been seeing over the last several issues was some sort of zombified corpse manufactured and controlled by the Joker. Which in the grand scheme of things isn't too shocking, as he was the only other villain that knew the plans developed by the designer. So it makes sense that he's the one putting them into motion for himself, especially as he said to the designer's face that what he wanted more than anything in the world was to rule over everyone, to be the devil. Anyway, by the end of issue 93, Punchline is able to stop Catwoman saving Bruce's money and is able to reroute it to the Joker's bank account. Punchline then calls the Joker saying, you are now worth over $100 billion, as the Joker laughs hysterically. Some pretty cool stuff happened along the way before this, like Punchline and Harley fighting for the first time, Deathstroke and Batman having an epic battle, and some cool designer moments. What I'm saying is you really have to read these issues to get the full effect. Also, maybe I should have mentioned it earlier, but it's interesting to note that during all of this, Harvey Bullock is now the new GCPD commissioner because if you remember, Jim Gordon was infected by the Batman Who Laughs a little while back. And also, Lucius Fox is acting as Alfred for Batman because again, Alfred was killed by Bane. And this, my friends, brings us to the last issue before the start of the Joker War, Batman issue 94. This issue kind of opens up the same way issue 86 did, with inner monologue from Bruce talking about his sketches. Except this time it takes place years ago when Bruce was still training to be Batman. Anyway, we learn Bruce never told Alfred what his sketches really were. They were in fact after images of a nightmare city a young man returned to each night in his dreams for years. Bruce goes on to say, hundreds of nights with dozens of teachers shaping me into a kind of perfect weapon of my own devising. They were never a design for the city. The dark designs were always me. And we see this while he's tracking down a mysterious man. He follows this man to his apartment and we find out his name is Cassander Wycliffe Baker, aka the real identity of the designer. Bruce came to him so he could teach him to be the world's greatest detective. And the designer says, "I'll teach you the most important lesson of all, boy. I'll teach you how to lose," as he denies training Bruce, while showing Bruce that he has all of his sketches hung in his secret room, which is just a little stalkerish. Just a little bit. We are then brought back to present time, where a beaten, bloody Batman by the hands of Deathstroke from previous issues is just trying to stand on his feet. The rest of the issue is just Batman basically doing damage control, making sure Selina is safe, as well as preparing for the ensuing war. As Batman swings through the Gotham skyline on his way to check on Selina in the hospital, he says, "I'll never forget Baker's lesson, what he offered in rejecting me. I saw a man with his faculties intact, who the world had broken, who could not survive the leap the world demanded of him. I remember the anger I felt in his rejection, the shame. I carried it to Gotham, and I carried it until the bat crashed through the window, and I saw a way forward that Baker never did. Baker wanted me to fail, to justify his own failure. He has seen my nightmare city and told me I would fall before it. But I wouldn't fall, I'd leap." This is one of the most Batman things ever, taking what was initially a failure for him, but ultimately realizing, no, this is a win, because he realized he's better than the designer, because he's willing to persevere, to leap. Moments later, Batman arrives at the hospital, but sees that Selina is gone, and he's being cornered by several of Joker's henchmen. The henchmen have Joker on a FaceTime call where he's taunting Batman, saying things like, "Oh, Bat, you're bleeding out. We can't have that. We're going to war. And I just took all your stuff. You need to get stitched up and ready to fight, or this isn't even gonna be fun. Let me lay it out for you. I have your money, I have your house, I have your company. I'm paying all the right people to keep the city running in circles. And Punchy here, she just convinced your CEO, Lucius, to join the winning team. And I'm about to have so much more. All those wonderful toys you've been cooking up under Wayne Enterprises. Now's the time to focus up. You're used to me fighting back with the resources of an abandoned toy factory. And you're all alone, aren't you? No family, no girlfriend, no butler. It's not looking good for you, old bats, is it? I have a design for Gotham City, my own rebuild. It starts right now, and you get to pay for it. Now let's get this started," as he tells his henchmen to open fire on Batman. We then learn that Selina Kyle wasn't taken from the hospital by the Joker, but rather the Penguin. He took her to his cool room. As the Penguin says, when things in Gotham get hot, this is where people like us go. Basically, it's a hideout for several of Gotham's villains as the Joker starts war on Gotham and Batman. Then on the final 2 pages of the issue, we see Batman was able to grab onto the side of the building and use his grappling gun to get to the top of a crane after being shot out of a window by the Joker's henchmen. Batman says to himself, "Alfred, old friend, I could have shown you a blank page and you would have believed I could turn it into some bright new day. You told me to pull these designs together and show the people what I had envisioned. But I already had. I had been designing Batman since the first night I saw the Nightmare City when I was a boy. Without you, I tried to build a utopia you saw, but instead I built a nightmare city only for it to consume me. You always knew I was the dark designer of my own Gotham, but I built it every night as Batman. What you wanted me to see was that I could be more, that I could take the next leap like I did that night in my study in the chair. I just needed to see it clearly, and with the cold metal under my hands of a city I've ripped open and wronged, I ask you for the impossible. I ask you for a signal. And you answer." Then on the last page, we see Batman standing in the rain in front of a lightning storm that makes a bat symbol behind him while saying, "Yes, Alfred, I will become a better bat." And that, my comic comrades, is your Joker War lead up. Everything you need to know before the Joker War starts in Batman issue 95. I can't say enough good things about James Tynion's run on Batman thus far. He clearly understands Batman as it shows through his writing. I'm also enjoying all the callbacks to Batman Year One, like the moment in Bruce's chair where the bat comes through his window and he realizes he's gonna become a bat. Stuff like that just really shows he respects Batman's mythology and continuity. With that said, we're gonna be covering the Joker War event here on the channel as it starts to roll out in Batman issue 95. But what do you guys think of the Joker War lead up, and have you been liking Tynion's run on Batman thus far? Also, are you excited for the Joker War? Let us know all that in the comment section. And just like that, that brings another episode of Variant to a close. But if you like today's episode, be sure to check out this one right here. And if you like our channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. But I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.